pay the allegiance to the flag of Tingle Tingle Maker, and to the fucking elections on nation, on the good, and the biscuit, with the biscuit fun.
Enjoy. Enjoy. Hey, enjoy. Hey, you. Enjoy. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Enjoy. Yes, you. Enjoy.
This is the beginning. Here we go.
Tell me when to walk it.
Okay, and...
Action.
Action.
July 1st, 2002. Ian McNenny and his partners at McCook Productions premiered the most groundbreaking video of their careers, Jedi Dispute. Little did they know that this simple effects project would spawn 2 sequels and solidify itself in their memories and the memories of those around them forever.
Jedi Dispute, I guess, was something that I'd always wanted to do, just because, you know, I love Star Wars, and I'd always wanted to kind of, you know, make a lightsaber scene that actually looked real. I mean, I knew there was a way that you could do it on the computers and stuff like that. I didn't know how exactly to do it. So as soon as I found the way to do it, you know, I was like, all right, I want to, you know, make a movie. I want to make sure this works.
When we first came out with the idea of Jedi Dispute, I was thinking, all right, we got a chance to do some stunts and a chance to, you know, show off our amateur choreography skills and stuff like that. So
when Ian first brought up Jedi Dispute, I laughed at him for a little bit, and then I was like, oh, well, he's serious. Maybe I should give it a chance. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, it'll probably be pretty fun just as a project. But I thought it looked pretty stupid. I just like run around fighting with sticks.
You know, I did a little test clip, which was like, I don't know, 3 seconds, 4 seconds long, something like that, to see if I could do it, and it turned out really good.
I thought when he first showed me the video of him testing out the lightsaber, I thought that's pretty neat. So I thought I kind of went along with it, and then when we started knowing what we were going to do in the fighting, and that we were going to make up our own fight scene, I thought it was pretty cool. It was a pretty neat idea.
He went all out. The lightsabers look real, but he went out and drew every single frame of, gosh dang, like 50,000 something frames, and lightning, stunts, doing reverse stuff and making us look like we're flying, and holes in chests. It was pretty good. He went all out. He did.
Well, of course, I'm definitely influenced by Star Wars, but it was actually mostly Episode 2, because a lot of the shots in Jedi Dispute, and even in all 3 of them, are kind of, you know, directly taken from Episode 2. The speed and the tempo of what I wanted the fighting was from Episode 1. And of course the lightsabers originated in Episode 4, you know, when that was made back in the 70s.
With an idea in place for this effects project, the team worked hard on the fight choreography that would make Jedi Dispute a worthwhile venture, even before post-production.
fight choreography I did when Ian and I were doing that. It was fun trying to figure out where we're going to move next and where our swords are going to clash and seeing where we could flip or something. And it was fun, but it got complicated because we'd have to keep remembering it and remember what we did and how we got there. But it was fun doing that one. It was, choreographing for all of them, it was enjoyable.
With the fights choreographed, Ian, Simon, Shelby, and Cameron began principal photography on Jedi Dispute, a grueling multi-day task.
Filming Jedi Dispute was, it was interesting because it took a little while to shoot. We just kind of did bits and pieces here and there.
Action.
When we got to the main bulk of the shooting, I think it took 2 or 3 days to do the main bulk of the shooting, and then we had to do some cut-in scenes or whatever. But we were all over the place. We were on, Shelby's roof.
Action.
At his old house, my front and backyards. But, I knew I had something great on its own even before, I even got into doing the lightsaber work.
It's been a long time, but I was just praying that everything turned out the way I thought it would look. It was the first time to do some, real choreography with any type of sword or lightsaber or anything like that. So, just the hardest part I remember being was just to envision what it was going to look like on camera.
It was time consuming. Because when Cameron and I went into our field and started choreographing ours, it was really long. It got boring after a while, especially with Cameron and his flip-flops. It was fun though. It was a different experience from our other movies that we filmed. Me chewing gum on the roof. I don't remember that, but I remember him telling me I was chewing gum. I didn't realize it.
Breaking all the laws of film.
Yeah.
During the filming of episode 1, I was really excited. I was like, oh yes, let's do this. And it turns out a lot of times it ended up just being me and Ian. It kind of started out as us just doing one of our stupid little films again. Of course, now they got XL HD and 24 frames. So I'm just like, you don't even know what filmmaking is until you have dug it in the dirt with a GL1, an XL1. That's it, XL1, not an XL2, not an XL1S, XL1. Not that big. We don't have that HD crap that y'all use now. No, we were filming with crap. But in post-production, that's when it actually became the movie.
When principal photography was finished, Ian and Shelby began the long process of post-production, which included rotoscoping the lightsabers.
The lightsabers were a lot of hard work. Basically all there is to it. And I'd have to go in and frame by frame draw all the lightsabers on the film strip, make all the effects, change all the colors, and I'd have to do that for every single lightsaber. So yeah, it was frame by frame. And 60 frames is only 2 seconds of video. So, a 10-minute piece is some insane number of frames that I had to rotoscope frame by frame by hand.
When you think about it, over the entire course of all 3 movies, we drew almost 200,000 lightsabers. Do you realize that? I don't know if anybody knew that. But that's 200,000 lightsabers. That's a lot that we had to draw. And not just draw, it's not just click of a line, it's you gotta do all this other stuff to it.
Rotoscoping and post-production were completed. Jedi Dispute was finished. But would the reaction to the completed project be one that was expected?
time, I was like, this is pretty cool. After putting all that work into rotoscoping the lightsabers, it you know, it felt like it had paid off. So, you know, once you put that much work into something, you're attached to it already. So, I liked it. I mean, I was excited about it.
The very first time we premiered episode 1, it was exciting. You know, it was like, yeah, I'm a movie star. Of course, everybody thought we were movie stars. Everybody thought it was the sweetest thing they've ever seen. The only thing I was disappointed about is that we didn't have the scrolling, you know, the text coming up. It was actually the first time it was just a crappy star background that Ian made, I think. And it had our name. And then we would do a clock wipe transition, and our name would show up down here, and clock wipe, and it was just like, you know, I was still really like, yeah, that's sweet. I think we had Adobe Premiere -1 or something like that. It was old. We were working with crap, basically. We had like a iris open up to the first scene. I was like, whoa, that's like real deal, man. That is the real deal.
When I finished Jedi Dispute, I was totally psyched. Totally pumped. I was just totally psyched to get everybody to watch it.
I feel people were incredibly surprised just because they know we did it, and they didn't know us as movie filmmakers or like editors or special effects people. They didn't know us as all that. They just knew us as a bunch of kids with a video camera making a movie. So I think when they watched it, they were like, wow, I didn't even actually expect all that. Back then, everybody's like, that's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life.
Jedi Dispute was a success. Ian, Simon, Shelby, and Cameron became legends in the Garland community. But with a desire to push the envelope of the technology available to them, the team was eager to do a second.
There were things that I wish could be better about Jedi Dispute 1. I wish that the fighting could be a lot faster. I wish the lightsabers could be a bit better. You know, with all those things that I wish I could change, I was like, you know what, instead of going back and changing it, let's just move on and do another one.
Going into Jedi Dispute 2 took a lot of convincing of my parents, on my part, to my parents. You know, Ian was all excited about it, and I was excited, obviously. I was like, oh, that'd be sweet. And it almost wasn't even filmed. We almost just didn't even film it because it was going to be too hard for us to get together again. Once that I got the okay, and once all that stuff happened, and I made a few promises about, you know, I will be home on time, I will do my homework, and the typical, you know, cheating your parents into letting you do something. Once all that was over with, I was excited.
We had learned some stuff since the first one, watching the first one and criticizing the first one, and I was ready to just try to do it even better. Let's go ahead and do the second one, you know?
My only problem was I'd killed off all of our characters in Jedi Dispute 1. So I was like, that sucks. I came up with that whole storyline of, you know, the keepers of the Force kind of send us back to fight again. We knew we had to make the choreography a whole lot faster. We knew from the very beginning it needed to be faster, it needed to be better, and we needed to know it before we started to film.
A desire to better upon their previous work would not be enough. Everything had to be planned out ahead of time. But there were things that were not expected, making filming completely different than it had been before.
Yes, I was more prepared because I was more prepared if it was going to be like Jedi Dispute 1. However, the conditions were completely different. It was freezing cold, the choreography was different, the situations were harder because most of us were sick.
Go back, hurry.
I was prepared in the fact that, yeah, I would have been prepared if it was like 1, but it wasn't at all.
I think I was more prepared for the second one just based on the fact that we had already done one. We know how some angles look during a fight scene. We know what angles look good for certain type of, you know, contact moves and different things like that. And just we were a little more comfortable with different stunts and stuff we were doing.
When I went into post-production, I knew that I had to do the lightsabers a lot more, you know, by the book, in terms of how the instructions had told me to do it, to make them look a lot better, to make them kind of fade out as opposed to having just a straight edge like they do in the first one. Yeah, I mean, Jedi Dispute 2 was really my outlet for making Jedi Dispute 1 better through doing a second one.
Confident that the video had far surpassed episode 1, the only thing left was to see what the reaction would be to the completed Jedi Dispute 2.
When I saw the second Jedi Dispute, I was impressed. We had scrolling text for the second one. That's why I was like, yeah. That was one of the best parts for me. Just watching the whole. I didn't even read it. I don't think. I didn't really care. Who does read that? Let's be honest with each other. Who reads that?
I was happy that it was done with because it was.
About what?
I mean, it was taking a long time. It took a long time filming, and I was really anxious to see how it had turned out. So I was happy that it was finally done.
When 2 was completed, I really did feel as though I had one-upped myself. I'd made it a lot better. Made a Jedi movie that I was even more proud of than I was in the first one. So I was even more excited then. In the first one, when I'm up on the roof and I've just got the handle and I whip it around and the lightsaber turns on, the first time I did that shot and I rotoscoped the lightsaber coming out, I was totally blown away. I watched it like 16 million times. I brought all of my family came in and watched it, and they were all just amazed. And then I was equally totally floored when in episode 2 when Shelby, we've got that medium shot on Shelby right before he goes to fight Bobby, and the same kind of thing happens. You see Shelby's lightsaber turn on, and it's even smoother than mine was, but it was so amazing.
I was like, after we finished 2, I was just thinking, all right, we did it. We beat 1. I looked at it and knew we still had some improvement, but it was definitely a step up from the first one, and that excited me as well.
The lens is dirty the entire time. The entire movie, Jedi Dispute 2, the lens is dirty, but
Jedi Dispute 2 was an even bigger hit than Jedi Dispute 1. But Ian would not be satisfied with just the 2 films.
I hate it when movies go 1 and 2 and they stop. You know, it's just like you should either just make one or complete a trilogy. You know, make a set of something. So ever since 2 was completed, I'd always wanted to make a third one.
If Ian was going to fulfill his desire to complete the Jedi Dispute trilogy, he would have to be creative in convincing Shelby, Simon, and Cameron to get on board.
Right after Jedi Dispute 2 premiered at our Easter party, I took everybody down to this spot down by the creek behind our house that Simon had shown me a couple of days before. And I told everybody, I was like, take a look at this place. You know, everybody, we walked around there and explored for, an hour or 2. And I said, Shelby, Cameron, Simon, what if we did Jedi Dispute 3 here?
The funny part about Jedi Dispute 3, when Ian asked me to do it, was in Jedi Dispute 2, when they heard about it, my parents said no. In Jedi Dispute 3, when I heard about it, I said no. Because Jedi Dispute 2 was hell to film. We were 5 times as stressed as the first one. The conditions were like 20 times worse. It was less prepared. It was less organized than the first one because we had to film on the spot so many times because something was right or we finally got off work to do this. And so when I heard the third one, I was like, "There's no way." I would be exhausted. I think I was in college then, so I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna have time."
Honest opinion. And at this point, we'd set aside a lot of time for 1 and 2, and I was getting ready for school and working a lot, and was just like, I don't feel like doing it.
Well, when he asked me to do Jedi Dispute 3, I thought, do I really want to? But we started thinking about it actually in England. That's when we started thinking about it, and I thought it'd be cool if we could have different powers, and I could disappear and reappear. I thought how we could do all different new stuff. I knew it was going to be tough again because I didn't know, because it was in the summer and I knew it was going to be hot. But I thought, I'll go ahead and do it. I'll make a trilogy and we'll be done with it.
Once they agreed to do it, they were on board for me. 110%,
I think Ian drugged me. I think he ended up giving me date rape or something, and I was out for like 3 days. And when I woke up, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He goes, "We were just talking about Jedi Dispute and you got so excited that you fainted." I was like, "Oh, cool, okay, well, let's get filming," you know? So it was pretty weird. I mean, he ended up lying to me, but it got me motivated, you know?
But I was like, you know, Ian's my homeboy. I'm gonna stick through it for him, and we'll do this and get this trilogy out of the way, and it'll be cool to have that trilogy done.
Even with the immense amount of preparation done for Jedi Dispute 3, there was no way that the team could be ready for what they would face during shooting.
What was filming like for Jedi Dispute 3? That was hell. That was awful. Well, you know, it literally was hell because we filmed most of it in 100 to 104 degree weather with no trees around, no shade, like in the middle of open fields. So there's nothing. And we ran out of water. Like, it was awful. It was awful. It wasn't fun. Like, it was not fun at all.
Filming Jedi Dispute 3 was extremely hot and long and time consuming, and they got really boring. But the days just went on and on. But it was like over 100 degrees for several of the days, it seemed, and
It was downright dangerous.
it was.
And attack.
I mean, we probably all got dehydrated several times.
The funny part was watching Ian get so stressed out. We've got footage of him that, if shown, would scare any girlfriend away. He didn't hit anybody, which was what I was excited about. Didn't hit anybody, didn't cuss anybody out, watched his language. He threw stuff and stomped on things and swung stuff around, but that was about it. And yelled. And it was unnecessary yelling. I don't know how many of y'all know Ian, but he does a lot of unnecessary yelling sometimes, especially at his brother Simon.
Simon.
Sorry, I forgot.
No, I'm sorry. Dude, you didn't stop at all.
You got
So he got a lot of, "Simon, this is your fault." And he wasn't even there. He was actually just getting out of the car.
We've just filmed the absolute worst scene ever. It's bad. It's bad. Wasn't fun to film at all. Hopefully it'll look good. Hopefully. But it is bad. Filming it is bad. It's bad. Yeah. Yeah. Okie dokie karaoke.
Filming for part 3 was really, really bad. It was really, really, really hot. I'm actually sure that everybody else can tell you stories better than I can on this, because, you know, I think I might have blocked out a lot of what I personally did and felt and was going through.
We're worrying about time here, so quit jacking around, please. It was funny last night. It's not funny anymore. I'm just getting into the mood. Okay? All right. Now, would you please do it right? You ruined it. We're angry. I looked at the freaking camera. Ready?
At action.
Okay. We got the log tangled up. My legs are
Okay,
not.
hold on.
You okay?
Should I cut?
What's the matter?
Should I cut?
Can you do it 2 more times?
Yeah, I can. Hold on.
What's the matter? Should I cut?
Oh, cut!
You know, we were out in the middle of this field with the sun just beating down on us. We got sunburned and heat stroke every single day we filmed. We shot for 5 days over a period of like 6 weeks, something like that. It was, it was a mess. It was totally crazy.
There was a point in filming where I got so bored and I wanted it to be over so bad, and my mind was just, I think I had like cabin fever without the cabin. It was probably heat exhaustion. I was insane. And we were filming, and I put my hand in front of the camera and I started squishing people's heads. Just for fun. It was to entertain myself because I had nothing left. And that was my last resort of entertainment. It was that bad.
Just filming during the hot sun, it was, because we were all frustrated, we were all angry.
No, give it to me. Give it to
And
me.
more so the director, because he wanted to get what he wanted, and he wanted it to look good.
It was pretty gruesome, but it was there's a lot more thought put into that than either of the other two. And filming the third Jedi Dispute it got to where we were we were getting hot and getting cranky because things weren't working the way we wanted to, and everybody started, just kind of getting on the other people's nerves. Everybody had their time where they were just like, man, this is killer. I'm never doing another Jedi Dispute.
The grueling 5-day shoot led to an even more agonizing 4 months of post-production. Now, the four waited in anticipation to see if Jedi Dispute 3 would live up to and hopefully surpass the 2 previous films, making the Jedi Dispute trilogy their most amazing body of work ever.
The third one is definitely the best out of all 3 of them. I mean, the Phantom Jedi just has its fastest, most intense choreography. The lightsabers look the best. The locations are amazing. And the music is a lot better.
There's actually a lot of thinking going on. The first time I watched it, the premiere, I didn't even think about the movie. I wasn't trying to enjoy the movie at all. I was looking at it, remembering like all, I remember what's happening there. I remember how we were stressed out there. I remember all this and all that. So I couldn't enjoy it. Now I love it. And all my friends love it. I was relieved when I first saw it. I was excited, and I was actually very impressed again because we had a lot of new stuff. We had lightsabers that were black, 4 people lightsaber fights. We had cooler locations. We were filmed with the XL1. That was really big for all of us.
Yeah, Jedi Dispute 3 was pretty rocking. That's where we went all out and tried to do as many different things as we could, And in comparison with the trilogy, it was by far the best Jedi Dispute we've done, and a very good closer to that segment of our filmography.
The success of Jedi Dispute 3 brought a close to the Jedi Dispute trilogy. However, would the cast be willing to do a Jedi Dispute 4?
If he asked me if I want to do a Jedi Dispute 4, I would love to. I would love to do a Jedi Dispute 4. Because as far as just doing it, the whole process of making the movie and, editing it and all that stuff, yeah, I would love that. Even looking back and seeing how hellish, we'll use that word, hellish, those other movies were, I think I'd still have fun.
Yes, I would do another Jedi Dispute. I would, just because. I'd do it when we're all out of college or something. When we're all older, that's when I would do it. Just to see 20-year-olds flinging swords around and.
Yeah, I think I would do another Jedi Dispute if I had the chance, just because it's been quite a while since we finished them, and now that I've had a break, I think it would be fun to go back and get back into that and try some off-the-wall stuff.
I would definitely do another Jedi Dispute. I really, really want to. If it ever came up that I could get some of this amazing equipment and do it the very best way possible, I would definitely do a 4th Jedi Dispute.
The Jedi Dispute trilogy was the most agonizing project the 4 filmmakers had done. But it left a lasting impression on their lives and would be something they would remember for all time.
If I didn't do it, I'm not sure what my life would be like. And that sounds stupid, but it really was a big hinge in my life. Like, a lot of stuff revolves around that moment, those 3 years or whatever. Because it's things you get back like that, you look back on and you're like, man, that was awesome. I love when that was just like a blast.
I felt a very high sense of accomplishment. I felt like I'd really done something that I could be proud of. And I still am proud of it to this day. I've moved on and made many more movies. But Jedi Dispute is always something that I'm going to be proud of.
Because it's just fun. That's 4 friends getting together and making a movie, and there's nothing better than that.
Thank you.